Hi, this is Ron Stevenson of barlowknife.com. It's a resource for the acoustic musicians in New Jersey and beyond. Today, it's my pleasure to be interviewing Steve Blake, who is a musician living in London. Is that correct? You live in London? And someone that I've met in person who is a multi-instrumentalist. He's also a teacher and an artist, a performer. He has worked for 20 years also as a dance accompanist at Trinity Laban Conservatory of Music and Contemporary Dance. And he accompanies classes for Magpie Dance. Among his other credits, he's musical director for director-choreographer Leah Anderson. He plays multiple instruments, including percussion, five-string banjo, fiddle, and he performs for social dances, including dances with Kaylee, barn dance, and square dance bands. And you can find him, later we'll tell you where, on Patreon and YouTube. So welcome, Steve.
Thank you very much.
It's very nice to have you with us today.
Nice to be here.
Let's just get right into the background a little first, and let me know. You're so eclectic, I might say. I'm just curious how you got started in music in the beginning of your life, and what got you interested in music to begin with, and how you started doing it.
I could say my family. There doesn't seem to be any history of musical playing in my family that I know of. My mum and dad had a handful of records, a few of which I loved, with the Beatles, which I think came out the same year I was born. I believe that was 1963.
63, yes.
The first Elvis album. My dad was a big country music fan, but a lot of the records I found corny at the time. I mean, now I quite like a lot of them, but there was a few back then that I really loved, the ones that were a bit more rock and roll, So I always loved the Johnny Cash records.
Oh.
Now, and he had a lot of Merle Haggard, who I absolutely adore now, but at the time I didn't like him at all. But Johnny Cash, I was crazy about Johnny Cash. I mean, Johnny Cash is just Johnny Cash, isn't he? It's not like...
Oh, of course, yes.
He doesn't like Johnny Cash. In fact, it was the first live music concert that I ever went to was Johnny Cash in London. Mum and Dad brought us up to London. So I suppose that would be my first influences. A few rock and roll records we had, Little Richard, things like that, the Beatles. But they didn't have a lot of records.
Mm-hmm.
First influences. So I always remember being interested in music, but I didn't really play anything much. I think, would it have been before? I moved out of Reading, where I was from, which is about 40 miles out of London, when I was 12. Well, it was 11 or 12. It's the first year when you go here. We call it secondary school. I guess is it high school? No, it's when you're 11 or 12. And my life kind of changed quite a lot when I went to that school. It was a lot nicer than my other school, and I met some sort of more kind of boho friends who some of whom were musicians, or they had instruments in their house and their parents played stuff. And I kind of started to like the idea of playing. And I used to mess around with things on my own a lot, with 2 tape recorders and overdub and make like weird cover versions of the Ronettes and things like that. But never any proper lessons. I used to play bongos, harmonica, had a guitar lying around, and I used to just mess around with them. And then I think I had a couple of guitar lessons which I didn't enjoy at all. And I had a few euphonium lessons with the school.
Interesting. Yes, you mentioned that on your bio. Euphonium. That's interesting. Is choose choice of an instrument, isn't it?
Well, I didn't choose it. So what happened? When you went to the school. Actually, this was the previous school, when you went to the first year of secondary school. And everyone had to go and queue up outside the music room, and we didn't know why. And then we were taken in one by one. And it was a chap called Mr. Buxton that everyone was very scared of, the music teacher. And he gave us some kind of oral music test. I mean, I remember it vividly. And he would play notes, and you had to sing them and different things, oral test. And then he would go over to, well, or not, if you weren't any good, but I obviously was. He'd go to the cupboard and he just like selected an instrument for you, whether he kind of had some kind of criteria for choosing it, or whether it was just the nearest one to the door at that point. I don't know, but he came out with a euphonium, and I remember opening up the case, and I was actually kind of really seduced by the kind of fake red velvet inside the case. Sort of very old, dense, rich, dark, deep purple kind of plush velvet stuff. I remember loving that, and then I got the mouthpiece out, and as soon as I put the mouthpiece to my lips, and you can taste the taste of the brass. I remember loving. So it was a very sensory thing. My first addiction to an instrument. It wasn't really anything to do with the sound. But then I realized quite quickly that I could learn I had a good ear, and I could pick up things quite quickly. And I remember we played for assembly, and I could actually I was too lazy to learn beyond the first couple of flat and sharp keys. So anything, beyond 2 sharps or 2 flats, I wouldn't be able to read, and I would just kind of guess or copy the person next to me and kind of get away with it. So yeah, that was just, but none of that was like anything. That was just, kids get given an instrument and they learn it. So, but it was a bit later that I started to think I was a bit more obsessed with it.
It seems like you were more into the aspect of learning through listening rather than through actual sheet music.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, now I'm quite nerdy, and I'm quite happy to even now playing folk music with a very good ear, even though I don't even need to. I could happily, I don't really do it, but I could happily sit and play scales all day, and I would see the point of it. But back then, no, not at all interested, and just did what came easy to me, really. Quite lazy. And it wasn't until I played the saxophone. I think nearly all the musical, so apart from the fiddle, which I'm now is my main instrument, I would say, apart from the fiddle, and maybe the drums prior to that, it's always been a bit random. It's been kind of random events that have steered me through my chosen path as a musician. And the first one, the guy coming out of the cupboard and handing me that brass instrument. And then it was the same with the saxophone. I think I was about 16, and I was with some friends, just hanging around at a friend's house. And I think his dad wasn't around. His dad had left years ago, I think, but he went up to the attic and he came down with this sax. Oh, this used to be my dad's, and we all had a go on it, and I was kind of the only one that could get a sound out of it, and I just almost immediately figured out where my fingers more or less would go, and I didn't play it well, but it was obvious that, and anyway, I just loved the feeling of it, and the feeling of the pressure of blowing through it. It was different from the euphonium, and it's very vocal. It feels very immediate and vocal. And I just loved that, and I went and bought one almost immediately. It was like the bottom end Yamaha.
An alto?
An alto, yeah. So yeah, a chap bought and I went out and bought a cheap Yamaha, but it played nice. And from that moment, I just played it a lot. I think I was 16. I just played it. And by the time I was like 17, 18, I was playing in local bands. Played in a band called Alan Clayson and the Argonauts, like Jason.
Oh, I like that.
And Alan Clayson, I don't know if he's still around, but he was, and I was kind of 17. It's my mum used to drive me to the rehearsals, and they were a lot older. I guess they were late 20s, maybe even 30. They'd had some sort of career in another band, and this was anyway. They took themselves very seriously, and they were kind of good. And Alan was, I think he's written some fairly successful rock music bios over the years. He's quite well known as a writer.
So that's interesting, you being English and finding your way into the old time genre rather than, let's say, the Irish genre and many other genres that are around. Oh, that was an interesting choice or happening. How did that happen? That you got?
Yeah, I think I can explain that really clearly, because I think that rhythm has always been my biggest strength in music, more than. I eventually gave up playing sax because I had quite a successful band when I was playing sax. I moved on to curved soprano and had a lovely Yanagasawa curved soprano. We played big jazz festivals and things, and used to support big jazz acts that came over from the States, and we would get the support slot for them. So yeah, if I move forwards to when the old time thing happened, I'd actually started playing drums, which I'd always wanted to do since I was about 11, and that we never lived anywhere where I could have a drum kit realistically until I was about 35, early 30s maybe. But maybe I was 32 or 33, I can't remember. And we had this, I moved into a place with a basement on the end of a terrace. And it was actually, our landlord was Eddie Grant, who was a successful British reggae singer, who had a couple of really big reggae hits. He was our landlord. Anyway, that's by the by. So I was actually in the basement beavering away, learning to drum, playing along with rock records mostly, playing along with like all sorts of things, soul and R&B records and things. And then someone just randomly gave me a banjo. He said, my friend Dave, he said, "Oh, one of my uncles left this banjo." It was a bit like with the sax, my uncle left this banjo lying around. It's this broken up banjo. It didn't have a name on it. I mean, it might have been handmade from pots and pans,
Was it a 5-string banjo?
It was a 5-string, very basic. It didn't work at all, but I just fixed it up. And as soon as I started, I worked out what the key was, went out and bought a book or looked online. I can't remember. I don't even know if it was online then. I wasn't really using internet much at the beginning. But anyway, I figured out what more. I didn't know about frailing at first, so I think I had a book which told you about frailing, but I didn't quite, it's like typical me. I was probably skipped the first 2 pages and went straight to the first exercise and didn't read the bit about how you were actually supposed to. So I was just kind of free finger picking or 2-finger picking, but following the frailing instruction. And but just the way the 5th string and the mechanics and the whole rhythm and how the melody emerged out of the rhythm and just the whole way it worked, I just absolutely loved it immediately. And it wasn't really like a passion for old time music. It was, like I say, someone just gave me a banjo, and I had. You talk about Irish music earlier. I had a handful. I tried to listen to all sorts of music, and I had a handful of folk records, but they were probably fairly mainstream. Like what's the famous Irish band? What they called Chieftains. It was probably Chieftains records or something. Nothing very specific. A great band, of course.
Oh yes.
But then I had this one tape that my friend Mark, who's a very good jazz drummer, a free jazz drummer, had given me, and it just had an assortment of stuff, weird stuff that he liked. And a couple of the tracks were kind of rootsy. One of them had somebody speaking in a very, very strong Appalachian accent, but like riddles. You must have heard that, like kind of wordplay and riddles. It sounded amazing. There's that one on there. And then there was a couple of other tracks that was something pretty hardcore, for someone that had never heard it. It wasn't Tommy Jarrell, but it was something fairly raw, kind of fiddling or banjo playing or both. I can't remember. It was a long time ago. So I'd heard that, but I didn't know it was called old time. I just thought, it's kind of a bit bluegrass, but more raw and, obviously comes recorded on a porch. And that appealed to me a lot. But yeah, that was just one of a selection of recordings that was something that someone somewhere else did. It was nothing to do with me. I had no plan to try and do that myself.
Right.
So it was literally how easily music fell out of this thing when I started to follow the instruction, because I'd never been able to play. I hadn't tried open tunings on a guitar, and I'd never been very good on guitar. I just could strum the chords that they told me to in a chord book, and play along with the Beatles or something. I never got a melody out of it really much. And then, to suddenly see how easy it was to find melodies on there and to then incorporate them into the rhythm. And it was just, I just loved that feeling, the feeling of playing that. So my love of old time music grew out of that. Really, I started, as I started to be able to do it, then of course I wanted to hear other people doing it. So I started listening. And pretty much from that point, now I don't listen to old time music unless I'm listening to a tune or with other people playing it. I don't really put records on. It's my lifestyle. Just I end up just playing like R&B or dancehall in the car. But but for quite a few years while I was learning, that's all I listened to then for probably 10, 15 years when I was learning banjo.
Yeah, I know. I was listening to the early Folkways recordings, things that were recorded by the Library of Congress and things like that. That greatly influenced me as I was a young man.
Yeah.
Myself. So you got into banjo, and would you say that who did you start working with when you started collaborating with other musicians? Because I know you have a lot of collaborations.
Yeah. Well, a lot of the collaborations were through the theatre work I'd done, which we kind of skipped earlier. So, from when I started playing the saxophone and when I got good, when I started to be successful with the saxophone, and then I met my good friend Lee, who I've had a working relationship with.
Lee Anderson
for like 35, 40 years. And made many theatre shows with her, and we'd always have a live band. She was always into having live music for her shows. Usually a 3 or 4 piece band, and I tried to use different people each show and try to get a slightly different kind of mood or genre of music for each show. When it got to the point that I was playing old time, every single time we did a show, can we have old time music in this? Can we have banjo in the show? It's like, she never let me do it. It's like, no, it's nothing to do with it. It doesn't matter. And she was right. It didn't. So as far as old time collaborations, I suppose it was a long time before I started to form any kind of band or have any urge to perform. So, but there was a really nice session in London. It was just the one session back then, but it was a really strong one.
Was that one that led to the Royal Oak session?
No, not at all. No. In fact, it carried on into the one that's the Four Feathers now. It's moved to a pub called the Four Feathers. It's kind of still going, but none of the original people would be involved in that now. And quite a few of them have. Mm-hmm. Some of them have passed away, and quite a few moved away from London. In fact, that was quite a devastating moment, actually, when suddenly I just suddenly realized about 4 or 5 of the very best fiddlers from that session had just suddenly gone out of London. And the session was never quite the same to me again after that. But anyway, it was a great session. And Tom Paley was a regular there. Tom Paley, the new, what are they called? The New Lost City Ramblers?
Yes.
So he was like every week he was there. And back then, he was very strong. I mean, later he started to get arthritis, couldn't play guitar much anymore.
Uh-huh.
But his guitar, I don't know if you know his guitar playing, but his guitar, I mean, he sounds like, Mississippi John Hurt or what's the more gospel-y guy with the sunglasses? Reverend Gary Davis, that kind of style. He just had that down, so powerful and funky. And he had quite a good repertoire, and that used to inspire me so much. And he was funny as hell, Tom Paley. But everyone in that session was really nice. Tom's son Ben was sometimes there. He wasn't a regular, but he would sometimes be there. He's a great fiddler too. Mm-hmm. A lot of really good musicians. So I went to that religiously for years. When I played, the first sort of 10 years of banjo playing. I went there, and I never had any intention to play the fiddle at all. And then, in fact, Tom Paley one day turned to me after we'd played a tune, and he said, Steve, you'd make a pretty fine fiddler. Said it just like that. I remember it exactly. And I was, wow. Oh, really? Oh, really? And I had a lot of respect for Tom. So it's like, well, if Tom's going to say that,
obviously,
I'd make a really fine fiddler, I thought,
Nice.
And then he sold me one. Yeah, but I'm very grateful to him. Whether he meant that I'd make a fine fiddler or not, I don't know. He just wanted to seduce me into buying one, because he said exactly the same thing to my friend Ed Hicks. You might know Ed Hicks. He's a good banjo player. Lives in London. Yeah. So yeah, that was the only collaboration I did at the beginning in old time. Would have been sessions, but I loved them. I loved playing in sessions. I'd never experienced anything like that.
How did you get the Royal Oak sessions together? That's one that I had attended when I was
Yeah.
in London.
Well, that was really, we never wanted that to be a big open session. So that was really just, at the time I had the band, the Old Time Wasters with Paul and Joe. And we just wanted to counter all the rehearsing we did on our material with just some good, solid, playing that was a bit more relaxing, not so, because we used to work hard in the rehearsals, pretty serious. So that was really just for us. And then a couple of other players joined in, but we never it was never like, oh, let's make this a big hub for everyone. It wasn't meant to be that. It was just us getting together.
But you've had other musicians come from overseas to play with you, right? I think, if I'm not mistaken, Jane Rothfield and people like that have come over.
Well, Jane, I don't know if she ever made it. She might have made it once to our Royal Oak session, but I mean, if you know her, she's just super sociable person. She sessions with her. I can't remember if she ever made that one. I'm not sure if she did. Yeah, we've had a few other people drop in. I mean, as the session did start to get bigger, I tried to, advertise in where the session had been advertised that if people are passing through town, it's nice for them to drop in. It's a nice way to meet people. We've actually got kicked out of there now anyway. So.
Oh really? Oh, that's too bad.
There was one barman that didn't like it at all, and as soon as one person complained, then that's it. They got rid of us. But there was a lot of people that liked it, but.
Hopefully you'll find another venue for it.
Yeah, hopefully. But there's a few sessions, and they're getting a lot stronger as well. A few of the sessions, the other sessions, there's 2 or 3 sessions going on now. A big beginner session. I went to the beginner session the other day. I don't really want to play in slow jams, but suddenly it really appealed to me, the idea of going along, and I actually had a great time. And there were, I mean, in that slow jam, there were, I don't know if that's a typical number, but there were 2, 3, 5, 6, 7. I mean, there was about 20 people when I sat around the table, and a few of them I knew from the other jams, but at least 15 of them I didn't know who they were. They're just, and a few young people playing.
I love it when you see the young people get involved in this genre of music. More and more. I see that you're also a teacher. Do you have any experiences in teaching old time to younger musicians?
So very young musicians, I've been teaching ukulele to, but you're talking about 5, 6, 7, 8-year-olds, and I'm tempted to get them playing old time, but usually it's like Taylor Swift and Ed Sheeran.
Sure.
A few of them, once they start to get good, I did get them to play along, with they find it quite hard to follow the chord sequences. I've got drum machine, so I just put that in front of them. But the whole concept of you do this bit twice and then you do this bit and then you go back, they quite often they struggle, with that at first.
They're young yet. Yes.
Yeah. But I do teach each year at a teaching camp called Music in the Mountain, which is a spin-off from the Fire in the Mountain Festival, which is absolutely amazing festival run by my bandmate Joe Bursky, where it's his band Cuttershine that I play, and he also runs that festival.
Where is that, Fire in the Mountain?
It's in Aberystwyth in Wales. And there's quite a lot of old time music, but other folk musics as well. But there's usually at least 2 or 3 pretty decent acts over from America. I think Nora Brown and Stephanie Coleman were there last year.
Nora Brown.
All sorts of bands we've had there. Anyway. That's a great film. So they also have a teaching week, and I teach beginner banjo. I've taught beginner banjo at that for about 4 years now, and it's got bigger and bigger each year. We had Dirk Powell over teaching last year.
Oh, wonderful!
And Travis Stewart was teaching last year. Dirk's daughter Amelia was there teaching guitar. So it's a week long music camp in the most idyllic setting, really fantastic food. They have a great chef there, really healthy and delicious food. Jams, jamming till 3 or 4 in the morning around campfires. It's very, very nice.
So also, I see you won a Bonnie Bird Award for theater.
Yeah, we did. That
Dance
was, with me and my wife made a couple of dance theater pieces together. Yeah.
So let me ask you about your approach to old time music. You do a lot of videos. I've actually learned some songs from you listening, because as you know, there's multiple versions of different songs.
Yeah, of course.
Some of the versions that you pick up are really nice. So,
Thank you.
Like Sally Ann, I like the way you do that.
Yeah, I got yeah. So that was that I learned from Eddie Bond. Well, I say learned from. I've never been to the States, so most of my learning comes from internet and Slippery Bill and yeah. But yeah, that was from Eddie Bond. Yeah.
So you've got some nice versions out there. Do you have a specific approach when you, with the fiddle especially, although you're banjo as well, in terms of how you approach a piece of music, what you like to get from the piece of music, what you like to hear?
Okay, so it's an interesting one, this, because people can be quite scornful, can't they? I think in old time circles about sort of just slavishly copying, and I understand that, but I do still think I'm not a beginner on the fiddle, but I haven't played it. It was later in life that I took it up. I was an experienced musician, so I understand how music works when I took it up. It wasn't like starting from scratch.
Right.
I have only played it, I probably started playing fiddle in my late 30s, or even it would have been in my 40s, mid 40s. I'm 62 now. So I've only played it for like less than 15, 16, 17 years or something. So in some respects, I'm still a beginner, I think. I think also if like I say, it takes me 2 hours, hour and a half, 2 hours to get into town. I've got 2 kids, juggling 10 jobs. I can't just be out at sessions every night. So I don't really play with other people as much as I'd like to, especially now I'm not in the band. And I think if I was playing with other people, I'd have a looser approach to how I play tunes. But when I'm learning new tunes, I'm usually learning. Sometimes I just learn a tune because it's like, oh, it sounds like a great tune. Or it sounds easy to learn, and that, as you probably know, is not always the way. Sometimes ones that sound easy turn out to be hard, and ones that sound hard you put off for years, and you finally think, I'm going to have a go at that today, and it just like falls under the fingers so easy. So, but anyway, generally when I try to learn new tunes, it's because I feel that a certain fiddler has got some magic that I haven't got. So I'm trying to learn not just the tune and the melody, but trying to learn what is it that make them sound good, and I want to sound like that. And the best way of figuring that out is to slavishly copy it, I think, initially. And now there's tunes that I played, that I would have slavishly copied from Bruce Green recordings. I got into someone gave me a whole load of Bruce Green bootlegs a long time ago, and I went through those with a fine-tooth comb and learned a lot of material from him. But now, if I played one of those tunes now, I probably wouldn't. I've completely forgotten how Bruce played it, and it's turned. Right. But initially, I do. I mean, to varying degrees. Like I learned Redbird from watching Benton Flippen. A little while ago, I realised I was utterly hopeless at any kind of round peak style and couldn't play Tommy Jarrell tunes. When people would play those classic tunes, Cindy, Sally Ann, all those, John Brown's Dream, Breaking Up Christmas, any of those classic round peak repertoire, I didn't know what I was doing wrong, but I could certainly hear it was not right. And I'd usually stop because I felt I was just getting in the way of the people. So I made a real point of learning that, mostly from Kirk Sutphin recordings. But then I came across I read, Benton Flippen's round peak, and it's weird because his bowing it's a lot of the same repertoire, but he doesn't sound anything like the other. So in some respects, he doesn't seem like a round peak style player, whatever that is. But anyway, when I checked out when I was looking at Redbird and watching him bow it, it was so alien to me what he was doing, a lot of what he was doing, that I really wanted to copy. I mean, like literally bow straight for bow straight, like slowed down a video and studied it and literally copied it exactly. And by doing that, you discover ways of moving the bow that you'll then use in another tune, or another tune that you've slavishly copied from someone else. Suddenly you can apply other little touches that you've got from. So for me, it's not about, oh, I've got to play that tune exactly like him. It's more about wanting to learn how they
from a master.
So amazing in the masters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Nice.
And not wanting to, and wanting to learn from somewhere that's as undiluted as possible, because things get homogenized, don't they, so much.
Yes.
Of course, those recordings are just snapshots of that time, and there might have been, maybe they don't sound as good as the music from 20 years before, but that's all we've got. That's the earliest we've got. So it's not some romantic notion for me of learning from those old recordings. It's just literally they seem to have so much more to offer.
Sure. I mean, that's the record of what's there, and it's all a link in this tradition. And of course, people like Benton Flippin, they have their own styles that are also unique. So it's quite a rich mix.
Yeah.
When you hear people like that.
Yeah.
It's easy to say, oh, well, I could do it better than that, or I don't like the way he's doing this. But then when you try to play it, you realize that he's got his whole approach, and it involves different bowing techniques and everything else. Fascinating how you've taken that approach, and you've featured that on some of your videos. You've talked about how they achieved the sound that they got, and you've actually gone through that. And I think on your Patreon, you teach that stuff, do you not?
I try to vary how I teach on Patreon, to try and kind of find to find the right, but no one ever responds on there. I wish people would feed back, and sometimes I say, how's everyone enjoying it? I did a slightly different thing here, how's people enjoying it? And then they get very little feedback.
Well, I'll give you some feedback.
That'd be great.
I'll definitely take that on myself.
So I just keep trying slightly different ways. Sometimes I go into painstaking detail, and other times I just play the tune and barely speak. Which I think is nice as well. I mean, I'm saying most people probably don't want to just learn exactly the same way all the time. But,
and recently, you've also gone into the tackhead banjo. You've got an album, a recent album out with a gourd banjo.
That's right. Yeah,
and a gourd fiddle.
Yeah.
So how did that come about? And I guess those are the ones from Jamaica. From
Jeff Menzies.
Yeah.
So I bought the gourd fiddle a long time ago from Jeff, and then we became very friendly. Chatted a lot with him after that. And now I've got the tackhead banjo as well from him. And it came about because I've been thinking I should put an album out, do some recording of my fiddle for a long time, and can't afford to go into a studio really. And tried recording. It's very hard to record a fiddle well. I don't know if I've just various efforts with the mics I've got, and never got the right sound that I wanted.
It's always difficult.
It's really hard, and then of course the fiddle, more than any other instrument, can be so cruel to you. Sometimes you pull it out of the case and it just says nope. You ain't playing. You're not a fiddle player today. It happened to me a couple of days ago. It's just literally I feel like I sound like someone that's only been playing a week. Is just like, what is going on? It's like, fine, either you work through it or you put it back in the case and you get it out the next day. I don't know. Quite often when that happens to me, it's because I need to go and play with other people a bit, because I'm just gone too far into being self-critical. So it's important to be self-critical when you practice. For me, there's the fun of playing in a session, and there's like trying to improve. And they're two very different things. One is just work for me. I work very hard when I'm practicing. It's not about, I probably don't even enjoy it. I'm enjoying it in a different way,
Either way, I think it's work. Playing with other musicians as well challenges different aspects of your playing.
Yeah, absolutely.
So you have to adapt your techniques to others and actually pick up new techniques you don't ordinarily use.
Yeah.
When you're playing with others. But it helps to have that, definitely you need that practice so that you can build your repertoire of techniques.
Yeah.
And it always sounds bad when you're practicing alone. I mean, sometimes you can flow, but it's a constant state of trying to improve.
Yeah,
So
that's it.
yeah, I can identify with that.
Mm.
So with the recent album, can you talk a little bit
Yes.
about some of the
So, well,
pieces?
just recently, the rest of my family, my wife and two kids, went to Japan, and they went for. How long did you go for? Oh, she's got the headphones on. They went for, I think, was it 2.5 weeks, nearly 3 weeks. And I knew I was going to do a lot of playing in that time, but I hadn't thought I'd make an album. But I was playing, and I just suddenly thought, do you know what? The gourd fiddle, because it doesn't have such. It's a different sound. It's scratchy. It's a scratchier, rawer. You're not trying to capture quite such complex harmonics. The fiddle throws out. I just thought, do you know what? Maybe it would sound fine with one of my cheaper, because I've got some sort of 80, 90 quid odd, microphones that are sort of standard, work for anything. And I just thought maybe the gourd fiddle would sound okay. So, and I'd thought for quite a while that it could be a bit of an angle, but especially as a Brit that doesn't really have, I can't say, oh, I'm specializing in tunes from my region, and I learned from this person. I can't say any of that. It's like, what can I say? I learned my tunes from YouTube. What can I say? Hopefully, I've got some sort of individuality that comes through. I think that comes through having played a lot of different instruments. And just to jump back, when I first started playing fiddle, I wasn't interested in how anyone else bowed at all. Didn't matter who they were. I had no interest. All I wanted to do was take my drumming experience and apply it to bowing. So paradiddle patterns applied to bowing, and that's pretty much what I did for the first. And I wanted to. When you're a drummer, you try to strengthen the left hand to match the right, and it seemed like, why would you want to be a down bower? Why not just try to get as good at up bowing as down bowing, and then it doesn't matter which way you go. So I spent years and years trying to do that, and did it fairly successfally. And eventually for other reasons, I became interested in, the round peak, really. That was the thing that really got me obsessed with bowing, was because I just realized I just could not emulate that sound at all. So I had to learn what they were doing.
Yeah, I don't have one.
So anyway, sorry. So getting back to the recording.
And it sounds so good with the gourd banjo.
Yeah, so I recorded so the angle. I was talking about not having an angle. So I thought, I have got a gourd fiddle, and not many people have got. So maybe, and do I know anyone else that's ever made a gourd fiddle album? So there's my angle. It's a gourd fiddle record. So, well, I'll come to, So I recorded it, and I was right. It sounded okay, but it was still a little raw and a little bit like it's a bit niche. I mean, old time's niche to start with, isn't it? But it was like another level of niche was the. And then me playing it, you hear Jason Cade playing his. He's got one of Jeff's, and he's made a bunch of videos, and he sounds so sweet on it. It's so sweet, and I'm not saying my playing's bad on it. I like my playing. I wouldn't have made a bloody record and offered it up to people if I didn't like it. But it doesn't sound sweet like Jason's, and so I was, it's a bit niche still. So I thought, I wonder if I just record the banjo as well, because it was meant to be solo. I was determined to make a solo record. And I was quite happy with it. I recorded the whole thing solo. And I thought maybe it would just... It's more about tonally. It wasn't that it needed another instrument. It was just, I thought it'd bring some warmth to it, to counter the scratchy chord. And it did. It just sounded great. I just did one track to see what it would be like. And I really liked it. And I also liked hearing my banjo playing, because... I only play banjo. I played banjo in a live band, Cuttershine, and I don't even learn banjo tunes anymore. I don't learn tunes. I just someone plays and I play along. I don't learn the tune. I just play.
And I assume that's a fretless banjo.
So it's a fretless tack head. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, I was really pleased with it in the end.
Yes, it sounds great. Where can people catch that on?
So it's on Bandcamp.
Bandcamp. And what would they enter into Bandcamp?
So the album's called Old Time Gourd Fiddle Music.
Okay.
Yeah, Steve Blake, Old Time Gourd Fiddle Music.
Yes, I've listened to it. It's really quite good.
Great, thank you.
I really enjoy it, and I don't know what I haven't played along with it. I'm not sure what keys you're playing in.
Yeah, I should have. I might go because, of course, you can go back in and edit all the details. So I might add in a few more details. I did put the fiddle tunings. So generally, the fiddle is tuned down. Is it a fourth or a fifth, pretty much? So the tunes that are A, I'm playing in E, B, E, B.
Mm-hmm.
That's what, fourth down.
Right.
And then it's more or less a fourth down in the other tune. I think I'm only playing 3 tunings in there. I'm playing quite a few in cross, and then I played about 3 in an equivalent of ADAD.
Oh, okay.
And then I played, I think, 2
Mm-hmm.
in an equivalent of Calico.
Okay.
And I think when I played the Calico one, because the top string comes down so much, then it was tuned too low. So then I brought it up again. So then it's probably like a third down instead of a fourth or something. But I can't remember.
Yeah, I don't have that much luck with Calico myself. I just kind of use an AEAE or something like that, and
Yeah.
And but yeah, people who can really work that Calico sound great.
Yeah, I love it. Not many people learn many tunes. When I first started learning, people learn in cross, but no one really in London was. When I first started learning a lot of GD, so I started learning. Wilson Douglas was one of my favorite to learn from in the beginning, and he does quite a few in GDAD, and I started to really like that before I'd played in Calico. But you never get to play them in the sessions because no one else plays. Right. But people do now. People have become more nerdy about it now, and I think everyone plays in different.
It gives a different feel, and some people prefer playing down, because it just has a more ancient kind of a feel to it. So that's one of the appeals of that particular album for me.
Oh, nice.
So let me just ask you now if you have any future projects or goals. You mentioned before that you're trying to work towards other goals and projects. So what would those be?
Yeah. Well, you've caught me at a bit of a possibly transitional moment where I've been in some good dance bands. So I'm in Cut a Shine. We play dances regularly. At busy times of the year, we're playing every weekend. And we did 2 gigs this week. Did one last night in Brighton.
What kind of dances are those that you're doing?
Well, mostly it's kind of Kaylee's, but with American music.
Would you explain what the Kaylee is?
Well, so I suppose the Scottish and Irish dances that come from Scottish, a lot of Scottish ones and Irish ones. Mm-hmm. But even then, in the Kaylee tradition, there's some dances that come from other places, and American ones as well that have kind of gone into the repertoire. We play old time for it. I mean, often you'll play jigs when the dances go faster, because it's easy, obviously, to play. If you're playing jig, you're playing 3 notes in the space that you would play 4. But of course, we don't play jigs in old time, so we have to play quite fast in some of the dances where someone might choose a jig. They don't only use jigs because the dance is going faster, but that's be one of the reasons. Yeah, but sometimes we do square dances, but there's no callers here who really specialize in square dancing, as far as I know. Then people may have learned a few, but there's. I'd quite like to have some more experience doing that, like very specifically playing for squares. I have another band called the Old Time Contraband. My friend Gareth Kiddio, who comes out of the English tradition, he played English folk music for a long time in dance bands for years, and he asked me to put this band together with him, playing like old time, but with him on piano. I love playing with piano players.
You'll hear that a lot with Canadian music, with the
yeah.
I
really love that. But so we've been playing for Contra with that. We just did a big dance festival, and we played with a good square dance caller there. He played Contra and squares. Seth Tepfer, or is it Tepfer? Tepfer, I think his name is. Seth, and he had us going through our paces when he was doing the squares. They were pretty fast. They were like 125 BPM, creeping up towards 130.
Could you talk about as we conclude, any kind of announcements that you have, or talk about some of the presents you have online?
Well, yeah. So I've got a Patreon site. So it's like four quid or something, $4 or $5 per month.
That's reasonable.
And yeah, so it'd be great if I could build those up. I've been trying to build those
People
up.
would go to Patreon and look up Steve Blake.
On Steve Blake, fiddle and Patreon, Steve Blake banjo, yeah. And I teach online. I'm happy to do Zoom lessons one-on-one, but I haven't really been doing much of that. But that's available. What I really want to do, Ron, is get over to the States. Because I just need to find some way. I've been thinking if I can find some way to get some sort of fund. I think there's some sort of Arts Council funding here for kind of personal development.
There are a lot of great festivals that would really be beneficial for you to attend, I think, and you would enjoy it, and they would enjoy you.
Yeah. I'd really love to come. Well, maybe when the kids get a little older as well.
Keep us abreast of that. On the website, I will link to your sites so that people can frequent that.
Thank you very much.
And I look forward to more output from you in the future. Maybe another album.
Well, I'm definitely going to do another, because it was so satisfying after fretting and worrying so much about not being able to get a good recording on the fiddle, to just do it in like a couple of days here in the living room. It was so enjoyable. So yeah, I mean, very soon I'm going to do volume 2 of that. I'll probably put some songs on it this time as well.
Excellent.
So that'll be coming up very soon.
We look forward to it.
Yeah, and I hope to see you over here again, Ron, sometime.
Okay, yeah. So, well, actually, I'm going over to Scotland in July. I'm going to go to the Stonehaven Fest, and
yeah, you mentioned that. Yeah, I don't know that festival.
Yeah, I'll be with my friend. We'll be doing some Celtic music and some bluegrass.
Nice.
And yeah, so, but yeah, I will definitely make the opportunity to come over and get together with you again.
Yeah, well, we'll put, if there's not a session on, we can always put one together impromptu.
Well, hey, it's been great speaking with you, and
it's been great talking with you.
Let's continue to stay in touch, and I will have your websites up on our site so that people can also know where to find you. Thank you very much.
Yeah, thanks so much, Ron.
All right, take care.
Bye, mate.
Bye-bye.